Monday, April 18th, and this is your coffee break on the HAN network. Today we'll have the latest local news for you, including police looking for the suspect in a fatal hit-and-run crash Sunday night in Greenwich, a Fairfield fire displacing a family, and much more. Later in the show, we're going to be talking with a food policy coordinator from the Humane Society of the United States about a Meatless Monday campaign and why you should consider going meat and dairy free one day a week. We'll also get the latest local sports from Rob and a look at the forecast, and Donald Ang takes a look back on this day in history. But first, in today's news, one person is dead after a hit-and-run crash in Greenwich on Sunday night. An unidentified 43-year-old man was struck and killed by a Mercedes-Benz on East Putnam Avenue near the intersection of Hillside Road around 11 o'clock. Police said the driver of a 2006 or later Mercedes-Benz ML350 fled the scene after the deadly crash. The Mercedes-Benz should have damage to the right side of the silver honeycomb grille. At this time, the color of the vehicle is unknown. Police are withholding the pedestrian's name until notification of his family. But anyone with information is asked to call the Greenwich Police Department at 203-622-8014. And a 46-year-old man has been identified as the person who died Friday after being struck by a train at the Stratford Metro North Station. Nancy Gammerman, a spokesman for the Metropolitan Transportation Authority, said a 46-year-old man who lived in the Stratford area was struck by a train just after noon on Friday. The man's name has not been released, and the incident is still under investigation. The MTA reports that the man was a trespasser on the tracks when he was hit by a New Haven-bound train at about 12:09 Friday. The train had left New York City's Grand Central Terminal just after 10 a.m. Train traffic at the Stratford station was reduced to one track while the MTA police investigated the scene. For updates on that story, check StratfordStar.com. And in other news today, a family of four was displaced from their Fairfield home Sunday evening when fire engulfed the garage and quickly spread to the home. Two firefighters suffered minor injuries while battling the blaze at 145 Mountain Laurel Road, according to Assistant Chief Scott Bisson. The call came in shortly before 6 p.m. Sunday evening. The garage of the 8,000 square foot house was fully engulfed in flames when the first fire units arrived on the scene 2 minutes after the first report. 4 engine trucks, a ladder truck, rescue vehicle, and shift commander were dispatched to the site, and 2 cars were ablaze in the driveway as fire crews arrived, as the flames already spread from the 3-car garage to the main structure via the attack and burst from the roof. Firefighters attacked the blaze from the exterior and inside the burning structure. Although the home's residents exited the premises safely, firefighters did rescue a pet rabbit that had been left inside. One of the injured firefighters hurt his leg during that operation and required treatment, while the other suffered minor burns using a hose to douse the flames, but he was able to return to work. The cause of that fire is under investigation. And in Milford, one man was seriously injured on I-95 early Saturday morning following a head-on crash that involved a motorist who was driving the wrong way. At about 2:20 in the morning, Milford firefighters responded to I-95 North for a reported wrong-way driver that caused a 2-car head-on collision just prior to exit 36. The first arriving units found both drivers trapped inside their vehicles, requiring extrication. The engine compartment of one vehicle was reported to be on fire but was extinguished prior to the arrival of emergency crews. Milford fire paramedics initiated advanced life support measures on the scene due to the driver sustaining life-threatening injuries. The patient was then transported to Yale New Haven Hospital. The second vehicle sustained heavy front-end damage, taking the crews over 30 minutes to free the driver from the wreckage. The second patient was conscious throughout the process and also received advanced level care from Milford fire paramedics. He was also transported to Yale New Haven Hospital, and the cause of the accident is under investigation by Connecticut State Police. A West Haven man is accused of texting a photo of himself holding what appears to be a gun to his former girlfriend to threaten her is now facing charges from Stratford police after his arrest last Thursday. Police charge 18-year-old Trayvon Avery with first-degree threatening, second-degree breach of peace, and second-degree harassment. Police said that Avery texted on Thursday a photo of himself to his ex-girlfriend, a Stratford resident, pointing what appeared to be a handgun at the camera. The threats were in response to a recent breakup, police said. The girlfriend called police, and officers responded to Avery's home in West Haven and later made contact with him after he fled the home. Police said Avery's mother assisted officers at the scene. He was held on a $30,000 bond and was arraigned Friday in Bridgeport Superior Court. We're going to switch gears now and throw it over to Rob Adams for a look at today's forecast, which isn't so bad.
No, it's really nice. In fact, wait until you hear the temperatures if you haven't been outside and experienced them for yourself. Now, the National Weather Service is saying sunny and a high of 72. I got news for you. They're off on that one. We'll come back to that in a moment. A slight chance of showers today, or rather tonight, and it'll be really as we go into the overnight hours. Increasing clouds low 50 with a light and variable wind, but it's just a very small chance, only 20%. Mostly cloudy, becoming gradually sunny, and a high near 67 for tomorrow. 39 is the low tomorrow night. We don't like that a little, but it's clear, so we do like that. Sunny and 60 for Wednesday, clear and 42 for Wednesday night, and Thursday sunny with a high near 64. On to the weekend. Friday, chance of showers 67, chance of showers and only 60 for Saturday, and sunny, a high near 60 on Sunday. Now, why is the National Weather Service off their rocker? Here's why. Danbury, you have 70. Darien, you have 73. Shelton, you have 75. Nice temperatures around the region, looking good. Going to be a beautiful day. Oh, by the way, baseball later on today, so I can't complain. Kate, back to you.
All right, thanks so much, Rob. We're going to step out for a break. When we come back, it's going to be time to take a look back on this day in history with Don Eng. We also have a sports update from Rob and some more news coming up after this.
Had a sports injury or a slip and fall that needs immediate care? Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care gives you direct access to an orthopedic specialist fast without an appointment. Biking, golf, tennis, soccer, whatever the sports injury is, sprain or fracture, Coastal Ortho Express can help. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care open Monday through Saturday in the iPark building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk, or go to coastalorthoexpress.com. That's coastalorthoexpress.com. Like them on Facebook.
It's time to come back to hometown banking, where people are taken into account, not just balances. Where community comes first. A place where there's more than one kind of interest. Where they not only know your name, they know your dog's name too. It's time to expect more. It's time to bank well. Bank smart. Bank local. Bank well. Until April 30th, choose $150 cash for a Smeg toaster when you open a My Bankwell Choice checking account with a minimum of $2,000.
A Better View Window Cleaning Plus has been cleaning glass all over Connecticut for over 20 years. They also specialize in cleaning chandeliers, mirrors, skylights, tiles, and will power wash anything that needs cleaning. They hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and are fully insured and bonded. When you deal with a Better View, you're dealing with the best, not the rest. Call today for a free estimate, 203-284-8836, or visit them online, abetterviewcleaning.com.
Hi, I'm Rob Adams with my good friend Donald Eng, and we're the home team for Nutmeg Sports, Monday through Wednesday at 2 o'clock right here on the HAN Network. We are the place for all things Connecticut sports, so come hang out with us on Nutmeg Sports. Don? They don't call him the best color man in the game for nothing. Nutmeg Sports, 2 o'clock Monday through Wednesday right here on the HAN Network.
We're back on this Monday edition of Your Coffee Break on the HAN Network, and it's time to throw it over to Donald Eng for a look back on this day in history. Don.
Well, Kate, looking back on April 18th, we go first to 1775 during the American Revolution, the very beginning actually. About 700 British regulars depart by sea from Boston to seize an arms cache in Concord, Massachusetts. Paul Revere and other riders warn the countryside of the troop movements not telling them the British are coming. Revere and the others considered themselves British. More likely, Revere would have warned something like the regulars are on the move. Revere served in the militia during the war, not achieving much success as an officer, but his copper and silver business made him a very wealthy man. He remained relatively obscure historically until the Longfellow poem published 40 years after his death. To 1906, an earthquake and fire destroy about 80% of San Francisco, killing about 3,000 people. Most of the damage occurred as a result of the fires that erupted from hundreds of gas mains that burned for 4 days and nights. The firefighting efforts hampered by the fact that the city fire chief, Dennis Sullivan, died during the initial quake. 1923, a big day in the memory of Rob Adams. Yankee Stadium, the house that Ruth built, opens with an opening day crowd of over 74,000. In its 85-year history, the stadium would host 17 seasons of New York Giants football. Also, the Joe Louis, Max Schmeling, and Ali Norton title fights were held there. The 7 blocks of granite era of Fordham football, 24 games in the Notre Dame Army football rivalry, including the 1928 win-1 for the Gipper game, won by Notre Dame 12-6. But of course, the main attraction, 6,581 regular season New York Yankee home games. And finally, now we go, staying in New York, to 1912 for this. That is the Cunard liner RMS Carpathia arriving in New York with 705 survivors of the RMS Titanic disaster. Carpathia had been 58 miles away from Titanic when it received the distress call. The ship only had a top speed of about 14 knots. Captain Henry Rostron ordered the heat and lights turned off to divert as much steam as possible into the engines, and Carpathia sped through an ice field at 17 knots, a speed it had never before achieved and would never achieve again. Rostron was knighted in England and awarded the Congressional Gold Medal for his actions. The crew received bronze medals from Parliament and a month's pay from Cunard as a heroism bonus. Sadly, Carpathia herself would sink 6 years later, having been torpedoed by a U-boat toward the end of World War I. That is your look back in history, and I am Donald Ng.
All right, thanks so much, Don. Well, getting back to a little more news today, after hearing directly from more than 1,000 Connecticut commuters about why they're fed up with the dire state of Connecticut's roads and rail lines, U.S. Senator Chris Murphy released the first in a series of reports called Fed Up: Traffic on the I-95 corridor, to identify trouble areas for Connecticut commuters and, he said, to propose a set of policies that will improve traffic and congestion throughout the state. Each report will combine the voices of real commuters with data to analyze what can be fixed on a town-by-town and exit-by-exit basis along the I-95 corridor. The report released today specifically focuses on the commuter experiences of Norwalk's 88,000 residents and outlines some recommendations for improvements at exits 14, 15, and 16, as well as on the Metro North New Haven line. Based on feedback received by commuters in Norwalk during a town hall meeting there last month, Murphy's latest report recommends specific action items to improve East Avenue and the I-95 exit 16 interchange ramps, as well as relieve parking demand at Metro North stations and expedite upgrades to the century-old Norwalk Walk Bridge. But it's time now to throw it over to Rob Adams for a Nutmeg Sports Update. Rob?
All right, Kate, thank you very much. And yes, thank you to Don for recognizing the anniversary of Yankee Stadium, of whom I was in the final game there, the only time I ever sat in the bleachers in the old stadium. And one other little piece of trivia, there are 2 Cardinals in Monument Park, the famed, of course, home of all the plaques and monuments for the Yankees and others, players and managers. The 2 Cardinals are the 2 popes that came to Yankee Stadium. All right, we move on to sports now. And we dive in with a lacrosse doubleheader as seen right here on the HAN network. It was the Battle of the Sound at Ridgefield's Tiger Hollow as Fairfield County played Nassau County, Darien against Manhasset, and Ridgefield against Garden City. We'll give you the highlights of Ridgefield and Garden City during Nutmeg Sports, but we've got Darien and Manhasset right now. Field at Tiger Hollow at Ridgefield High School. It's high school lacrosse on the HAN network. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Rob Adams, and today the Darien Blue Wave, the #1 team in the state of Connecticut, will take on the Manhasset Indians, the #2 team coming out of New York State on Long Island in Class B lacrosse. Today here at Tiger Hollow, it's game 1 of a doubleheader, the Battle of the Sound, and really, we'll bring it to the near side. Here's a blast on net, and they score to get things going. Jack Book, the blast, 1-0. As it's turned back around the other way, down goes Hudson Hamill, and the bouncer makes it 2-0. He's on the football field as well, and he made one heck of a catch in the Turkey Bowl FCAC championship game, and he's looking for a goal, and it's Minikis to make it 3-0. They always do keep it professional. I'm just kidding. Back out the center it goes, turned back around. Chris Glenn, four-man Hassett. They need to get on the scoreboard. Down 3, and they do! That's a way to answer. Kevin Mack makes it 3-1. That was Strub initially off the faceoff. And they respond. Kevin Lindley goes and celebrates with Niffen. It's a 4-1 game. This one, an errant pass that'll be taken down by Cornell, the junior goalie. And in transition, they're looking for more. Tic-tac-toe. Lindley, 5-1. I mean, AJ, you can't do it any better.
No, you can't. That is exactly how you catch the defense off balance. Ball movement before they can get set. And Lindley's all by himself in front of the goal.
Now Jack Keogh, the junior, back behind the net. And they get one. Look like Kevin Mack again to get on the board and make it 5-2. As this is put on net, and Mack's got a hat trick. Back to 5-3.
Kevin Mack really putting the Indians' offense on his shoulders at this point.
10-5. And here's a goal. So Mack makes it 10-7. And that should be enough to count it out. Niffen's got it. They call off the Dogs with 2 and 1, and this one's going to be in the books. Final score, the Darien Blue Wave 11, the Manhasset Indians 8. Due to the lack of drama in that game, we figured we'd give you a black screen for a moment just to let you hesitate before you saw any more highlights. All right, Darien, the 11-8 victory. Colin Minikis, a hat trick for the Wave. Ridgefield closed out the day, a 10-2 thrashing of Garden City. Mark Gaglione had a hat trick. Peter Dirth added 2 more. To the scoreboard, New Canaan, a solid win. 2 national powers. They get the 5-goal win over the Brunswick Bruins. Staples over Kellenberg Memorial out of New York, 10-2. Danbury by 11 over Pomperog. It was Trumbull over McMahon. St. Joseph takes care of Stamford, that is. Norwalk, in a, let's say, a defensive battle, beat Southington 3-2. West Hill over Central 15-2. And Stratford by 4 over Trinity Catholic. To the ladies' side, how about a good overtime game? Greenwich beating Wilton 11-10. Darien scored late in that one as they beat West Islip 9-8. Middle Country out of Long Island beating New Canaan 13-10. Ridgefield 17, West Hill 1. Ward with a win over Amity. Danbury throttling New Milford, doubling them up. It was Norwalk over Bethel as well. We move now to the baseball scoreboard. Ward beating Joel Barlow 7-3. Ridgefield 11, Bunnell 8. Stamford by 2 over East Hampton. Newtown doubled up Staples, and New Fairfield over Norwalk. Finally, in softball, Central over Bullwood Havens Tech in an all-Bridgeport showdown. Norwalk over New Milford. Trumbull beat New Canaan, and St. Joseph shut out Newtown. Let's move on to the schedule today. You've got Darien and Danbury at 4 o'clock in baseball. That's where I'll start because that's where we'll be. Looking forward to being up and watching the Hatters in the Blue Wave, 2 of the best in the FCAC. Darien having a really good season. Danbury solid as well. Game time, 4 o'clock. We'll be on the air just before. Elsewhere, Ridgefield is at Greenwich, Trumbull hosting Ludlow. It's West Hill at Ward. McMahon is at Stamford. They'll play at Cubetta Stadium as Trinity Catholic hosts New Canaan. Massac at Staples, and St. Joseph will take on the Wilton Warriors. From softball, Greenwich and Ridgefield, West Hill home for Ward, Stamford at McMahon, Central at Staples, New Canaan home for Trinity Catholic. Freiburg, Maine comes down to take on Darien, Trumbull at Ludlow, and Wilton at St. Joseph. From boys lacrosse, it's Wilton at Danbury, girls lacrosse, Trumbull at Southington, and from boys outdoor track and field, you've got Ridgefield at Norwalk, Central at Greenwich. Girls outdoor track and field in action today as well, boys tennis and girls tennis. Plenty on the docket to get you through, as well as boys golf, girls golf, and boys volleyball. And the start of a 4-game week for us will be in Danbury for Darien and Danbury at 4 o'clock, and Nutmeg Sports comes your way at 2 o'clock. Don and I will have highlights of both lacrosse games. We'll also grab one of our interviews from the FCAC tour, maybe 2 if you're nice, and we'll see what else Don and I decide to dig up. That coming up 2 o'clock later today. But that's it for sports. Kate, back to you.
All right, thanks so much, Rob. Well, getting back to a little more news today, Darien's Parks and Recreation Commission will hold a public hearing April 20th before voting on the final concept of the Weed Beach expansion project. Proposed amenities for the expansion, including an outdoor seasonal pool and boathouse, were chosen based on feedback from the town residents and stakeholders. However, the Weed Beach Expansion Committee, which was responsible for overseeing the concept designs, voted 4-3 against referring the concept to the Parks and Recreation Commission on March 8th. The vote, however, is non-binding, allowing the commission to move forward despite disagreements. The proposed pool has been the primary source of controversy, with dissenting voices citing issues of cost, possible flooding, and potential overuse. In an online survey with more than 2,000 respondents, some 35% requested a pool be included in the expansion. However, there's a lot more on that story at DarienTimes.com. And in other news, the Global Lyme Alliance will hold its Bite Back Against Lyme Walk and Run on Sunday, April 24th at Cove Island Park in Stamford to support Lyme disease research and education. The event will include a 5K run as well as a 1- and 3-mile walk. Information stations, music, and food will also be available. Early registration fees are $25 per person and $85 per family. On-site registration fees are $35 per person and $90 per family. The Global Lyme Alliance raises funds to support research, education, and awareness of Lyme and tick-borne diseases. Funds raised for the event will go towards their mission. For more information, to volunteer, fundraise, or register, you can visit lymewalkrun.org. Well, we are going to step out for a break now, and when we come back, we're going to be talking Meatless Mondays with Katie Scott of the Humane Society of the United States. We also get a fun meatless recipe from her, so that's coming up after this. For more than 50 years, SSS has been Fairfield County's expert service for carpet, upholstery, and drapery cleaning. We provide the best in repairs and in-depth restoration, understanding fabrics and how to properly clean and restore them. Our staff will come to your home to clean your wall-to-wall carpet to perfection. We can also pick up your fine carpets and bring them to our facilities. With locations in Norwalk, Stamford, and Stratford, SSS will get the job done fast, big or small. At SSS, you can count on our people as well as our cleaning. Find us at SSSclean.com or 203-847-8000.
Join the HAN Network and Make-A-Wish Connecticut to help make travel wishes come true for local kids with life-threatening medical conditions. Donate your unused airline miles to the HAN Network Wishes in Flight campaign. Over 70% of wishes granted involve travel, and your unused airline miles can help make kids' dreams become a reality. Plus, once you donate your miles to Make-A-Wish, they will never expire. Donate your unused miles and help the HAN Network share the power of a wish.
Walter Stewart's Market in New Canaan is your time-saving local shopping destination for the best of spring. Find many of your favorite products, from great specials on everyday items to the freshest organic produce, artisanal cheeses, and grass-fed steaks. Drop off your knives to be sharpened, grab a beautiful bouquet of spring flowers, and stop in next door for a wine tasting. Plus, their personable staff is always ready to lend a helping hand. So stop in to Walter Stewart's Market, 229 Elm Street today, or shop online at stewartsmarket.com.
For over 25 years, Mike Cizik Painting and Wallpapering has been the name to know for residential and commercial properties in Fairfield County. He uses only the top brands, including Benjamin Moore, for impeccable preparation and lasting quality. Call Mike now and receive $500 off any job over $7,000. Mike is currently accepting reservations for spring, so call him today at 203-770-8869 or 203-972-3310. For your custom painting, finishing, and staining needs, it's Mike Cizik.
You are watching the HAN Network, and you're not alone. Nearly 500,000 viewers enjoyed our broadcasts in the first 5 months. Advertise on the network that reaches Fairfield County, Connecticut's most engaged audience. Contact Jessica Murrin, Advertising Director, at 203-273-7312 or email jessica@han.network.
Welcome back to Coffee Break. I'm Kate Czaplinski. This is the HAN Network, and today we're talking about something you may have heard of before. It's gaining some popularity and some traction for different reasons. And I'm joined by Katie Scott, who is the Food Policy Coordinator for the Humane Society of the United States, the New England division actually based in Milford, right, Katie?
That's correct.
And we're talking about Meatless Mondays.
That's right.
Which has been around for a long time.
Correct.
There's some history there.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that you've already heard about it. Basically, people think that Meatless Monday maybe just popped up here and there, but the real story is that Meatless Monday started by the U.S. government. World War I, World War II, we needed to conserve resources for troops here to send abroad, so we had that going on. Then, in fact, in 2003, Johns Hopkins School of Public Health brought it back to fight a war of a different kind. This time it was on chronic preventable diseases.
And so tell us how the Humane Society got involved in it.
Love the question. So the Humane Society of the United States is the largest animal welfare organization globally, and we decided that we want to take care of all animals, including people. One of the best ways to do that is to decrease our meat intake. That is a great way to improve our health and to prevent disease.
And you've been working with a lot of area schools, is that right?
That's correct. So you may have heard West Hartford just recently decided to go meatless, but there have been a number of schools that have been doing it for years. So there's Berlin High School, there's Ashford, and then more recently there's Old Saybrook School District.
And I know we have some interesting information that you brought along with us. What are the benefits of going meatless one day a week?
Absolutely, so I'm glad you asked. Nutrition experts worldwide basically advise us to increase our take of plant-based food while cutting back on saturated animal fats. So that includes meat, dairy, and egg products. The great thing about it is that you can actually still get the same amount of protein while reducing your risk of heart disease, diabetes, stroke, cancer, and also improving your weight management. The American Heart Association, the World Health Organization, and the U.S. Dietary Guidelines are just one of a many number of organizations that actually support shifting vegetables to the center of the plate.
That's right. And what I love about this is it's manageable, okay?
Yes.
It's one day a week, because there's many people that can't imagine completely losing meat from their diet.
Right, absolutely. And that's the thing, is that if you just take one step at a time, you can make really big impacts. So you may not know, but one of the leading contributions to climate change is actually animal agriculture. And the Environmental Defense Fund has said that if every American just skipped one meal of chicken, and that's just one meal per week, it would be as if we took off 500,000 cars from the U.S. roads.
Wow, so it's not just health, it's environmental.
Exactly, and we look at it as a fact of improving your health, supporting environmental sustainability, and reducing our reliance on factory farms.
Right, and I think one of the biggest obstacles to this obviously is, okay, what do I eat other than cheese pizza when I don't want to have meat? So we're talking today about some recipe ideas that you brought, and, and what are we talking about?
Yeah, so I'm so glad you mentioned that, Kate, because really honestly incorporating more plant-based foods is fun, easy, and it's totally a thing that you can save money doing, which is why I brought in this 2-bean protein-packed chili. So I'll kind of walk you through what's in it and then show you a little bit more about how much protein is there. So first we've got things like kidney beans, we've got black beans, we've got tomato sauce.
And store brands too.
Absolutely.
It's
so
expensive.
Exactly. You can use olive oil to cook with, you know, and you've got just my favorite veggies are mixed red, green, and yellow peppers. corn, and onions. But the great thing about vegetarian chili is that you can throw in anything. Right. Decide if you want to put in a whole mess of tomatoes. Decide if you want to put in something strange like broccoli. It's really what is to your taste. Now, the interesting thing that I used here is actually these Boca veggie ground crumbles. And what's really cool is that this is pretty much the exact same price as buying ground beef. So let's say you chose to make it just as it's laid out here. You would actually be probably spending around $13. So for a family of 4, about $3.25. If you removed these crumbles, you would be probably taking away $1 for each person. So you're really only spending $2 per person. And I love it because the way that I look at it here is how much protein is packed into this meal. It's about 36 grams. Now they say that on average, depending on gender and a few other things, you want to get about 50 to 80 grams a day. So this is just one way to get a really big kick of that protein.
Wow, and a lot of that protein's coming from the beans, right?
Exactly.
Which we are hearing more and more in areas where people live the longest. There is a heavy bean diet there.
Yes, it's fantastic. And what's really interesting is that people don't realize that their protein comes from a number of sources. So if you decide that, hey, I'm not such a bean fan, eat avocados. I hear that it's about 10 grams of protein you can get from that. So really, protein is not so much the question, it's really where do you get your fiber, which is why beans, again, are such a high product to eat.
That's great. And I know we have a finished recipe here. So you whipped this up. How long did it take you to whip it up?
Honestly, maybe like cook time 35 minutes. Yeah.
So not bad.
Absolutely.
And we do have a high school intern, Oxford High School,
yes.
Nicole Di Matteo. I said it right, Nicole, right? And Nicole has the finished product over there that she's going to just garnish a bit for us with some sour cream and bring it over. Oh, and what's she putting on top of it?
She's putting parsley flakes. So something else I want to point out, which is fantastic, is that this is actually a dairy-free sour cream.
Oh,
I would love to hear your feedback on it, but it also adds a little bit of protein in there too.
Thank you, Nicole.
And of course, if you want to have chips or cornbread, it's always an easy side.
Oh, yes. Cornbread especially can be very easy and inexpensive to make, too.
Exactly, and that's the whole point.
All right, I'm going to take a big bite. I'm really excited about this. That's really good.
All day, all night.
And I can't believe that's a dairy-free sour cream.
It is, right? You can't taste the difference.
Where do you find it?
It's in Stop and Shop. Just look in your healthy food frozen section. Honestly, the more that you just go down that rabbit hole, you'll find an array of products that you can eat. Yes.
And so what do you recommend for people looking for some other recipes and
Yeah,
ideas?
absolutely. So the thing I would first recommend is to realize that the Humane Society of the United States really talks about the 3 R's. So reducing your meat consumption, refining your diet to avoid any sort of products that come from conventional factory farms, and then replacing anything that you have that is a meat with a non-meat alternative. But if you want to learn more, go to thehumanesociety.org/Meatless Monday. And what's great, and I would encourage you to do this, Kate, is to sign up for weekly emails that will be dropped into your inbox on every Monday.
Well, Katie, thank you so much. This has been so informative, and this is delicious. It really is. I'm going to make this. So thank you so much for joining us. Nicole, thank you. And